Hello and welcome to something I am extremely excited to finally start doing. Welcome to Skyrim Special Edition. Just before the Anniversary Edition drops, we're going to be starting my own little Skyrim SE modded 100% run. What this means is I have a lot of things I want to do. And we have mods that will help us do those things, which I will go over just very shortly. But first, I'd like to introduce you to our character, Rosemary. She's got her little scarring, war paint, red hair, which we will change later. Trust me, because this is not her final form, quote-unquote. No, we'll be changing the hair and the face a little bit as events progress through the story and, well, her time here. Now, you may ask yourself, and this is a lovely question, what constitutes 100% for this run? And this one, because it's modded and because there's so many things I want to do, has a lot of requirements. So, they will all be up on the screen, but I'm also going to go through them audibly. First of all, complete all main game and DLC non-radiant quests. These quests are quests that do not come radiantly, as in, do not just go kill this bandit camp for the Jarl and then get a gold reward, which you can do again, or after the Dark Brotherhood. You would get random assassinations on unnamed targets that you could do infinitely. Those quests, while we still will do them, do not count towards the 100%. Instead, any named quests that come from either the main game or the DLC will be counted, and I will be looking them up as we get really deep in and have trouble finding quests later on. Secondly, have all skills at 100 with a legendary 1 minimum. When a skill reaches 100, up here, one of the things added by, I believe, Special Edition, or I forget when, but it was a patch, means that you can make them legendary. What this does is it refunds your perk points, takes the skill back down to its starting level, I believe of 15, although it could be still 1, and you get to level it up again. What that means is, for completion, I'm going to have everything at level 100 with a legendary marker down here of 1 minimum. Also, along with that is to have every perk unlocked. These are modded perks. These are not, I don't believe, the base game perks. They at least shouldn't be. But I haven't played vanilla in so long, I honestly can't remember. Oh, it's so long. I believe it is. So one of the things that is removed by this, I want to say this beforehand, is that because this is modded, I don't think there is a way in smithing to upgrade Enchanted gear, which means that is the one perk I will be cheating in technically that will not count as cheating, because otherwise it would literally be impossible because of these specific perk abilities. I'd rather also, because of another mod, you'll understand why it's important to have the smithing being able to upgrade it available later, even though, with enchanting you can first upgrade the material, then enchant the material. But that won't work for this. We want to have literally every single perk, and there are potions that can add perk points. There are obviously levels, and some skills are far easier to level up, meaning we can level up faster than others. For example, things like alchemy and lockpicking and sneak and armors and weapons. Depending on what we use, levels will come in quite steadily. Now, number 3 is all vanilla spells that do not contrast are learned. Essentially, if there's a vanilla spell that can be learned without losing another one. So if only one of 2 spells can be gained, we take the one that can be gained as completion for both. Essentially, I just want to be a walking encyclopedia of magic. Oh, number 4. We're going to stop counting these, because I'm not going to get the numbers right. Be married and have adopted children. We have a mod that adds a bunch of children, and I believe a mod that allows for multiple spouses, but we'll get into why only certain things will be used later. But anyways, we'll need to have at least one adopted child and one spouse. Fill all available museum displays in Legacy of the Dragonborn. This is the big one. Legacy of the Dragonborn is a mod that provides a museum of sorts. And you can donate unique and even just normal items to it to essentially display. There are literally hundreds of displays. There's a library, there are book displays, there are weapon displays, unique amulets, displays added by mods. It is vast. Now, you may have noticed I said in there that some of the displays are added by mods. That is why I put in the little note in there, available. If one is added by a mod that is not... essentially, if a display would have been added by a mod, but we do not have that mod, we do not count that as available, which means it does not count towards the 100%, which means it's all good. Now, reach Nightlord Vampire rank in Better Vampires mod. This one is going to be tricky, because you'll see when we because later in this episode, this is going to be a very long one, we're going to be doing mod configuration, and there was a bunch of it, and you'll see why this will be difficult, but essentially reach the highest rank of vampire in Better Vampires. In case you also didn't get it from me saying that we're going to be mostly playing as a vampire, I believe there is a mod to remove the forced choice of becoming a werewolf from the companions, but if push comes to shove, we might become a werewolf first, then in Dawnguard we can get rid of our vampirism. A lovely little thing we can do. Now, achieve 100 in every attribute in World's Dawn. World's Dawn is RPG leveling and loot. It essentially gives you a bunch of stats you can increase, and is the reason we are going to cheat in that smithing perk that is so important to have in vanilla that we do not have here because we've changed the vanilla perks. Now, achieve all non-conflicting achievements and achieve that. Another one that has the card sort of non-conflicting of, or available really, of Legacy of the Dragonborn. Achieve that gives you in-game achievements, which again we will go over when we do mod configuration. It's right at the top. But some achievements are literally kill more than something before a certain level, or kill less than something before a certain level, and you can't get both. Essentially what I'm going to do is any achievement that does not have a fail condition directly must be achieved. Which means certain ones that require one to fail will, no matter what. I think it wasn't kill under certain enemies by level 10 instead of. Anyways, makes sense. I'm stuttering. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. We'll get into that. But any non-conflicting achievements, and achieve that, essentially any achievements that cannot break other ones or do not have a direct fail condition that would prevent 100%, must be achieved. Now, after that is reach maximum fame level in Skyrim Reputation. This will likely occur naturally, and we will also be going over that in mod configuration, but Skyrim Reputation essentially gives you reputation. Your actions have consequences in the way people treat you, shop prices, and potentially hostility. It is a lovely mod. Discover all location markers. We have added extra location markers for many spots that are not normally marked on the map. The idea is they fully explore the map, at least in the overworld. Any location markers that are in Dawnguard, Dragonborn, all of it, any of it, need to be discovered. Now, we're down to the last two on my little list. We need to reach 100% favor with a deity in Wintersun Faiths of Skyrim. You can pledge yourself with Wintersuns, we'll get into this later again, mod configuration, allows you to pledge yourself to a deity up to 1 of 50. And you get special boons and buffs if you are devout, which does include how you play the game. So being a vampire may very well piss off some deities, you know? But also some deities might like you being a vampire, some like cannibalism, some like murder. It's very different. We'll be pledging ourselves to one, and we need to reach 100% of the faith or devotion or, whatever. We need to get 100% favor. And the very last one that should have been higher up on the list, move all available vanilla followers to the museum. We have a mod. I believe it is AFT, although these mods, we'll get into why I'm a bit unsure about some of these things later, but one of the mods we have allows us to rehome our followers. Any Thanes, I obviously need to become Thane, which will be part of the non-Radiant quests, but anytime I become Thane, I'll get a follower. We put the followers, we set their home in the museum. We also have, for certain followers, a guild. If I look over here, a HQ marker, we can make a guild. That is not fully developed, and I do not have any updated versions of the mod, so there is no way to make that a condition for 100%. By now, the screen is probably clogged, but that is all, and I do mean all of the current conditions for this 100% run that I'm doing. This is not timed. This will be edited much more than this episode because this one is going to be the introduction. It is getting things established, setting up settings, and etc., etc. So, if there's anything else we find later on that is essentially what would be considered we have to do this for 100%, we will do it. We will add it to the list, and this list will be available to me at all times, and of course, I will also put this in the description. In case you ever forget, just check back there. Now, let's get comfortable, because we've only done the first part, and this one's gonna take a lot longer. Well, maybe not a lot longer, but a long time as well. So, mod configurations. You can see there is a lot here. And we need to go through each and every one of these to make sure the settings are correct. So, we'll start with achieve that. We'll also go over these mods, as mod configuration does not include every mod shown. Some of the mods do not have mod configuration in that they are so simple that they only do simple things, or it is not needed. This is not at all a representation of all the mods here. It is very extensive, this mod list. A tiny bit unstable, but also some of them have been imported to SE by me, specifically. I imported the mod over. I have not posted them anywhere else. I do not have permission to post them anywhere else. So if you want some of these mods, well, you may have to go back to Vanilla Edition and get them working on a pre-anniversary patch SE edition, which will be difficult for you, but do what you will. Anyways, achieve that. General, as you can see here, we have all these achievements that can be gained. And if we go over to, I believe, character, let's see if we can find up the one I meant to show. I believe there can be one in, like, uncategorized? Is it? Bloodbath, no? Where is it? Say No to Alchemy is one of those failable ones. Reach level 25 using less than 5 potions. And then there's Kill on Sight out of the blue. Here we go. Kill on Sight and Self-Defense. Reach level 25 killing less than 500 NPCs. Reach level 25 killing more than 500 NPCs. One can be failed to get the other. Not both can be gained. This is an example of why we cannot go for every single one. By the end, every single achievement needs to either be green or red instead of gray. Red means it's failed, green means it's been gained. And we'll get into why this will be difficult, because there's like 500 glory, there's a specific number of archers you need to kill. Obviously, Alduin, guess who? Some number of sneak attacks, it's 2,500. And some of these have additional levels, so while it may seem like, oh, just eat 50 ingredients, then it goes up to a different number, much higher, and it will get very, very high. This will take a while. So, Hall of Glory is also something in this mod. You gain glory by doing the achievements. You can buy rewards, which includes upping your carry weight, health, magic, stamina regen, elemental resistance, speed, a random skill, +1, and shout recovery speed. All of these can be gained. They cost different amounts. Also a perk point, all damage, shout, recovery, we already went over that. All damage plus 5%, perk point +1, and then a Daedric armor set for 150. Probably the one thing we will never buy from here. Everything else we might buy a little bit of. Who knows? Settings. Now, this one we do want to have, we're not going to have a specific reward for each achievement. And then notifications. We're going to turn off notifications. Except for I forget which one's in the top right. We will leave them both on and we will experiment instead of that. Animated Armory, a lovely little mod that adds even new kinds of weapons with their own animations. All of these will be shown in the crafting menu. The NPCs and I will show the animations, and the NPCs can have them in their level lists. This will be important, having different things in level lists. Later, you'll see why. So, settings continued. Oh, we do want to check. Animation check interval. We want to... Lower numbers could cause lags with heavily scripted saves. Let's decrease this down to 13. Give a 2-second difference. We don't want to do too much. And then using PCEA2. I don't believe we are. Settings continued, almost forgot. And so we have mace and dagger. Okay, nothing else we need to change there. Animated wings ultimate. This is a lovely thing. Part of being a vampire will be fun. We will change the settings for the button when we eventually get flight, because I want to make sure nothing conflicts. As I get more familiar with the keybinds and all this, we'll eventually find one way to have our wings come out. And it will be lovely. Now, the wing toggle button needs to be single press. That way it's not press and hold. Let's do a press hold. Yeah, it's not multi-press. It is just single press of a single button. Flight mode will be hold. And then the flying while gliding, we'll get into this when we eventually get wings. If we get wings. It may never happen. So, main options. Wing effects increase our jump height, our fall damage. 0% fall damage. Let us increase this up to 25%. We don't want to just become invulnerable to fall damage with wings, but your wings slow your descent, reducing fall. Damn. Let's put it down to 5% actually, because depending on how high we fall, yeah, that'll become important. Swim speed. We're actually going to have swim speed be down to 100%, left alone by the wings. We're not going to have them propel us through water faster. It's going to, technically slow us down. Glide gravity, leave gliding alone. On transformation, wing effects stay. Vampire Lord, Werebear, Werewolves works on NPCs too. So, wings require ingredients. They do. Dispelling wings requires ingredients. Rite of wings. 2 void swords, 1 Canis root. Okay, we'll leave that alone. Disable swim boost. Yes, we are going to remove any swim boost. That's great, and that'll reduce scripts. Hide potion recipes. But this option is still available. Okay, we'll leave that alone. And hide craftable. Use of new spells, Rite of Wings, and Endowment of Wings for everything is recommended. We will leave that alone then. Scan NPCs on wing toggle. Wing synchronization, okay. We'll leave these alone, and we will increase the scan range up to 200 units. Exactly. Just gives us a little bit extra. Flight options. Auto-enter flight mode. No. Auto-exit when you dispel or conceal. Yes, we will want that. Auto-graceful landing. We can leave that alone. Enhanced flying. Okay, that's fine. We'll leave all this alone. Auto-fly followers. Scan range. With wings. Or NPCs marked with fly with me. Not all of them do. So don't worry about all the NPCs just sprouting wings and flying up with me. Apocalypse spells. Okay. So, mind-controlled effect targets of any race. We're going to leave that alone because it can cause invisibility or immobility or failure to attack. We're going to leave these particular spells alone, some of them at least. Experience gain modifiers. I want to reduce these to 0.8 each, except for these two that are base. So we want to have both of these down up here to, even scripted, we want to have down to 0.8. So, for instant death spells that grant experience based on remaining health of the target, even those are reduced by 0.8. And we're going to leave the balance of these alone. First option, cleans up spell inventory, dropless by removing Apocalypse Tomes, Scrolls, and Staffs. No, we do not need to do that. We will leave that alone. We have not upgraded from another version. We don't need to do that. And then a backup vendor. We don't need to do that. We can repopulate level lists if it becomes a problem. That is troubleshooting. We'll leave that. Use this option to allow it to improve crafting skills as well. King's Heart. Well, you'll see why I'm going to enable this, because it doesn't really... I guess I can't, can I? Guess I can't. You'll see why later that's important. Anyways, better vampires. This is one I specifically told you to look out for later. So, rank progression. I just want to show you. We are not doing easier progression. So we have to reach 1,000 feedings as a vampire and be over level 50. But at that point, we gain weapon speed, damage resistance. You gain falling without damage, increased yards, sidestep reflexes, and all these spells. But we need to go over the settings, because certain things will happen that'll change this. So, status. We are not a vampire. I'm in an interior area. We have no satiation, no vampire rank. We are being left alone by... No. I am not hated by anyone. I am neutral. Everything seems to be fine. Hotkeys, we will leave these alone. Delete is not a key we'll be using very often. Okay. So head up here. So, reverse progression means it is not like vanilla. You are powerful when you are fully fed instead of when you are not feeding. When you are not feeding, I had a little voice crack there. Oh, dynamic stages every 24 hours in-game time. Not real time, in-game time. So we're going to leave that at 24 because either its stages are sped up, only 2 stages, or every 24 hours. Leave that alone. Rank progression is normal, not easier or days as a vampire. No, normal. Stage and rank connection. Hunger affects abilities. Yep, if you are not eating or drinking, you are not going to have your extra powers you get for being a vampire. Blood points. When you drink, you gain blood points. We're not doing that. That affects when you can use your abilities. We're just going to have it be that if I am high enough level and I am fed, I can do the abilities. I don't have to drink extra to have these kind of one-off abilities I can use every so often. We're also never hated. Essentially, if we ever don't drink enough, we're not going to be incapable of going into a city. We'll still have, we'll still be unable to regenerate health and other things in the sun, but you'll see why. I keep saying you'll see why, and you are seeing why now. You'll get it. Vampire damage, normal damage. We can do double or normal. We're doing normal. Now, vampire cattle. You'll be unable to enthrall victims and turn them into vampire cattle. We are going to turn this on. This is very, very dangerous. You turn the wrong NPC in the cattle, there's no talking to them. Essentially, when you go to interact with them, if I'm using the right version of the mod, it just feeds. We'll be putting one of these in our house so we can drink whenever we need. So, we will have vampire cattle, but I cannot guarantee, and I do say this quite obviously, guarantee that if we create a vampire cattle, we might not have to go back in time a little to fix it accidentally if I click the wrong button. But hopefully I don't. So corpse feeding. we are going to have, now let's see, basic feeding. You'll be able to drain those recently killed of what little blood they have. So, if someone dies, and they've recently died, there is a time limit, I can drink their blood before they fully stopped pumping and bled out. This is the only thing that makes it so that we don't want to have easier ranks, because this does count towards next bitten. Otherwise, even with easier, you'd have to do it on sleeping people or cattle. And I'd prefer to drink more often and be able to drink from recently killed corpses than to basically be just forced to sit next to a bed and drink. It's for the betterment of viewing and for playing. Now, sneak feeding, still on. Combat biting, this one's a bit weird. If you stagger an opponent in combat and you try to interact with them, you can bite them. Now, this will drain a small portion of their health away and transfer it to me. But your health must be greater than your victim's, and you have to have stamina. This becomes an issue in the sun, so this is balanced, and it basically locks you in place so it can be dangerous to do. Now, force feeding. A weakened or bleeding out victim is essentially saying, hey, get a free execution move if they are on their knees with one hand, moving around like bleeding. Don't kill me! Okay, feeding animation, bedroll animation. When draining blood from dead bodies or paralyzed victims, we use the bedroll animation instead of looking like we're tearing them apart with our hands. Extracting blood points. We don't have blood points. Sun visual effects. If I'm in the sun, my skin will char and blacken. Now, what's going to happen is, once we reach Master Vampire, which is going to be 500 feelings, we will literally only be at that point halfway to Nightlord Vampire. That is when we will turn this off. We might decrease that by 1 rank, but I don't know. We'll get into that when we do. But for the time being, when we are a weak and early stage vampire, we will be burning in the light. So, penalties enforced. If I'm in the middle of the light, I cannot be using my vampire abilities, some of them at least, and I will not regen my stats normally. That will be dangerous. Light level threshold. Obviously, if I'm too light, I take sun damage. Not too light. If we're in the light level threshold, which is usually just the sun, that'll happen. Night vampire vision strength. We'll leave that alone. We don't need to change that. Now, daytime shadows. If I'm in the shadows and the sun is obscured, we regen at a much slower pace than usual. We do not take direct damage because we have to do slight damage, hardcore damage, or no damage. You may think, oh, slight damage, yeah, that's fine. No. Slight damage, even in the lower levels, will kill you. In the higher levels, it will take the kind of thing that a dragon will kill you with hardcore. So we're going to do no damage. We're still not going to be able to regenerate, but no damage. No specialized damage either. Turned victims. So when I can get to a certain rank of vampire, when I turn into a vampire, I can change people into vampires. People I change into vampires can become followers. This is why I said all vanilla followers need to be placed at the museum, because we can literally add modded followers, we can change vanilla NPCs into followers that are vampires as well, and we have vanilla NPCs. So, race will change, breaks a lot of things. We're not doing that. Eyes will change, changes the eye texture to the bright red that I love. I love it. You may not like it, I do. We're having eyes will change color. Now, if I turn a victim, they will gain my skills and abilities, quote unquote. Essentially, they gain my vampire abilities and skills. I don't know if that counts for, skills that you get on the top screen, that you can get the perk points into, like smithing, alchemy, destruction, all that. But, oh well, they get our skills. Vampire hunters. Later on, as we become a better vampire, we will start having these guys come after us. Also, something I'm thinking about doing is instead having it be fame, because there are 4 levels of fame in Skyrim Reputation. As they come after us, we can have solo hunters, hunter pairs, triads, tetrads. We can go all the way up to tetrads, so we can have it not only focus on our fame, if we're a famous, character that is a vampire, and be a higher level vampire, they're going to send more people after us. It makes sense. So, Amaranth feeding. At your highest rank, Nightlord vampire, the one we're getting for the 100% condition, you can feed on other vampires and possibly absorb some of their skills. That's right, if you find vampires, you can feed on them and potentially get level ups in your skills. It is quite powerful, but it's locked behind 1,000 feedings. It's not going to happen very early, if not at the very end. So, Nightlord Vampire perk bonuses. Feeding can add perk points. This is being turned off. Obviously, we want to be able to absorb skills. That's fine, because that gets us closer to leveling up. That was another voice crack. But we don't want to just get free perk points from feeding on others. That doesn't make enough sense to me. Now, if you're also a Nightlord Vampire, you can engorge your victims, increasing your total health, stamina, and magicka. We're leaving that on, because you'll see why, after a certain point, probably by the time we reach this, health, stamina, and magicka will be at ridiculous levels. You'll see why. Even then, it might still be possible for us to die. Miscellaneous settings. By the way, it's taking like 20 minutes just to go through A to B here. So, like I said, this takes a while. Fear's Embrace is being left off, as is default. All the others are on for the spells and abilities. Now, level is required for rank progression. Yes. It won't really matter because of how many levels we'll be getting by the time we've drank enough blood, but you get the point. Abilities have recharge timers. No. Not all in-game time, not real time, doesn't matter. Yep, you may break things if you disable recharge timers and spam abilities. It doesn't matter, we won't spam them. Red screen fade after feeding. Yes, we will have that. Blood potions will affect satiation. We will have that not affect satiation. That is something I would do if I was not going for this being a YouTube series. I am. We're not doing that. Feeding victims. If I feed on someone, they will have, for a short time, marks on their necks. It's just a visual thing. Victims keep factions when turned. So, this can break things, of course, but when we turn someone, they are ours. They are not anyone else's. They are ours. They will most likely come back to the museum with us. There are certain characters who I will make into followers that would otherwise we'd never see them again. Not the ones that would die, because certain ones, if you make them into vampires and then take them back with you, it can actually break things even if you don't have factions left on. Because certain NPCs are scripted that once you've left them, they're gone forever, right? They're not supposed to be there anymore. And so the scripts break them, and you can't dismiss them, and that becomes an issue. So, nope, we're not having that. When you use Prestare, Sanguinaire, you will have an animation. Yup, we're doing that. It's fine. We have a little animation. It's cool. Heartbeats will be left on. Potions will affect me as a vampire, obviously. If I die, I turn into ash. Yup. And vampire hunters, we will not have them force me out of vampire lord form. That's kind of the fun thing about it, having them go up against this massive beast that I am. It will be lovely. So, status messages, yes, leave that on. Blurred screen, sound going outside. If you get sun weakness, delayed, yes. Vampire drain will not affect satiation. I'm glad that's off by default. Those you turn will feed when hungry. This is a lovely little thing. If you turn someone into a vampire, they will actively look for non-vampires to come up behind and bite. It's cool, but sometimes a little unlore friendly, where they will kind of do it in the middle of the day, and no one will bat an eye, so we're going to turn that off. Not because it isn't cool, but because it kind of ruins the immersion to a degree, which obviously some things are going to, but still. Enthralled victims change clothing. Okay, so if we enthrall them, meaning we make them into cattle, they get prisoner clothes. We'll leave that on, just because, well, otherwise we'd have to go through some shenanigans to change their outfits, which we still might do, but we'd have to turn off this setting later if we want to. Mortal's Mask. It will cause, well, it'll make me look mortal. No, not happening, because, I'm gonna be real, I like the red eyes. We have a porcelain skin mod that turns the skin ash white. It looks really cool, I think at least. Food and drink does affect me. Healing magic does affect me. Fear effect. When becoming Vampire Lord, briefly run away in fear when you transform. That's cool. Access inventory and fast travel as Vampire Lord. No, we're not doing that. Strength and weaknesses, the rest of these should just be charts other than this one past troubleshooting and cleanup. Obviously, strengths and all these. Okay. So when you are in the darkness and you have certain things, essentially strength when inside or in darkness, as it says here. Weaknesses when you're outside during the day. Obviously, your movement speed is the one thing we are going to turn off. You're going to be able to move fast. It's like you're running through the day, but you're still not going to have the stamina you want, the health you want, the regen you want, and the melee damage you want. And I do have frost resistance, but fire weakness, I burn. Troubleshooting and cleanup. Blank Better Vampires, leave that alone. We leave all this alone. We are also going to enable weapons speed fix if we find it. Use this option if your weapon speed is overly fast. There are some weapons in this, some mods that can affect this. Sometimes they do cause an issue, sometimes they don't. If we need to, remember, this is here. I'll have to go through it. So, about 20 minutes later, we're ready for the letter C. I told you this is going to take a while. Campfire, complete camping system. This will be lovely. If we're out in the middle of nowhere and we're going to end off an episode, well, guess what? We can have a little camp. You'll get why this stuff is important later as well, because this first episode is not going to be as storytelling-esque as I'd like. So, Campfire Building, realistic. Either I have to have firewood or deadwood for the quick one, or I have to use tinder, starting fuel, and lighting, which all takes skill and time. We're going to leave Campfire Building on. Player removes gear in tents. We're going to take that off, simply because some of these gears could cause issues with the body mod we have being just taken off like that, and I'd like to make my job censoring thing a lot easier. In settled areas, it's illegal. That's fine. Camping equipment can burn. Yup. We're leaving that on because I like pain, apparently. Followers interact with campsites, and followers will not remove their gear in tents. We're going to leave that alone. We're going to have very vigilant people that don't take off their gear when they're out camping in Skyrim. Oh boy. And we leave these hotkeys alone for now. Yeah, because that gives it I'm losing from the spell list. Instincts. Sense path, it doesn't matter. Smell dead, hear creature movement, sound effects, we leave these alone. Advanced. Object placement, we leave that alone. Placement threads, we leave that alone. We are not respeccing any of our camping skills. We don't have any. We track followers. That is lovely. Leave that alone. And we have profiles, obviously. Profile 1, rename profile. We don't need to do this. It's fine. Deadly wenches. Essentially, there's more female enemies. This does add some... Let me put it this way. Normally, there would be a very specific set of types of enemies, but this actually increases the variety of combat types as well. Otherwise, there are mods that replace enemies with just female enemies. I didn't want to take that. This adds genuinely new and sometimes exciting enemies. So, vampire wenches, they will be expert. We're going to use with Skyrim expert difficulty. We are going to have expert difficulty. They deal normal damage. Later on, once we've reached certain levels, we will be going up to legendary. You'll see why, but otherwise, things might get too easy. Leave it on expert for now. diverse dragons, a lovely thing. So, control is here. Oh dear. So these are all, some of these cast God Rays. That one messes up God Rays. This one causes God Rays again. So we leave on the ones that don't. We want to have, let me see. So what dragons do we have that we don't want? I'm fine with most of these, but there's a certain one I don't want that I think was here. Unless, it might not be here. We'll leave it alone. If there's one that I find to be really bad, like causes issues, we'll remove it. Otherwise, control, not really much we can do on this front, other than save options and have a delay between dragon attacks, which, for the time being, we will set up to 5 in-game days instead of 3, closer to a week. That way we're not always fighting dragons, especially early in levels. Enhanced blood. We're not going to mess with this. It's fine, doesn't really matter, we're good. Face Light, a very simple set of spells. This is really, some of these mods are also for me to make thumbnails, which will be lovely. You will hopefully like them, but we're going to leave that alone. Forgotten Magic. This one is something we will be coming back to some of these mod configurations quite frequently. This one, oh yes, we will be coming back to this very frequently. Because as you use these spells from Forgotten Magic, you can upgrade them. It takes a long time, but you can upgrade them. So, we need to move past all the different spell types, which are Cryomancer, Pyromancer, all yada yada yada. And we need to move over to, we have no affinity points, no affinity, we need to go to settings. So, experience multiplier gets left alone. Spellbook trance, drop chance, it needs to go up to 5, just a little bit higher because some of these can take forever to get otherwise. Spell level limit. If I use a spell enough, we're going all the way up to 10. We don't care. Armor spell duration multiplier, leave that alone. We have something else that affects that. I don't want to break it. Now, we're done with Forgotten Magic. Genesis also adds enemies and enhanced treasure, and this and Deadly Winches. It makes things very difficult in dungeons. You need to be prepared. So, spawning a player. We're going to leave that on simply because it can cause issues with them never spawning otherwise. A high scan, max number of surface spawns. They remove the ability to disable surface spawns. There it is. We don't have surface spawns. Essentially, Genesis has 21 surface spawn points. On the surface, the overworld, where it will spawn extra enemies. We don't want this. We only want Genesis to work in interiors. We allow for the max number to be 10, as it is now. Distance to scan, quite high. Enhanced treasure is on. Enable chance of potion, on. Yep, we'll leave all these alone, except for we are going to decrease the chance of treasure down to 20%. Potions, I also want to increase up to 30% odds. Allow unleveled. Later, we will do this, but early levels, we might not. Also, I say some of these things we will do later, but I may forget, and I also may change my mind as we get further in, but things need to be more difficult. This is another one we'll come back to later. Guild started, and I mean to click off. Guild management. You can have a guild with relations to certain holds and perks and general perks. None of this is final. I don't even know if the mod is still up on the Nexus. We're going to double HQ size, and we are not going to have real-time. We are going to have real-time jobs. Sorry, I forgot. This takes 48 real-time minutes for a job by your guild member to be done. This is something I can't really explain very well. It needs to be explained when we get to it. But if a job takes 2 in-game days, it takes 48 minutes real time. So I can't just cheese that. You can get items from that, so it's pretty important not to be able to cheese it. I Harvest. This is an amazing spell that will save me a lot of time. We are going to, however, massively decrease the experience gain gotten from this. Because this I Harvest gives you a spell that you can find around the map. When you find it, you can cast it. When you cast this spell, what happens is it spawns these little creatures in front of you that almost are like will-o'-the-wisps. And they will go around, and if they find a plant that can be harvested for alchemical ingredients, they will harvest it and give you the item and die. They can spawn up to 64. They spawn extremely fast, and that is why decreasing the experience you get for it is very important, because otherwise you can just spam it walking down the road and get to 100 within a few hours, like 2 hours. And you can kill stuff along the way, and it's pointless. My nose is getting a little clogged. We will have it able to not do harvestable food for farms. That's fine, we don't need to have that. Critter stats, recorded mod stat. We're going to leave that alone. Spawn distance multiplier. We're going to up this to 1.2 to make it further in front of us. Yep, instead of behind the caster. They do have hitboxes, and they can cause issues if they're too close to you. So, I harvest, goes off. Immersive Armors. Oh boy, armor options. Leave all these on. Oh, hold on. Okay. We'll look through these. And if we look on the right, distribution. Obviously, all these should be craftable. Not all of them should be distributed to NPCs. Shield options, same way as before, except for painted spike targets. We'll leave that alone. We don't need to be able to craft that. Unless, does it get shown to enemies? I guess not. We'll leave that alone. Extra options, armor types, we leave these alone. We'll look through these robes. Okay, that's all those stats. So, NPCs use the armor that's available. You can break down armors at the smelter. They are for sale. Compatible with alternate start mods. We're in an alternate start mod. And we want things to be linked to craft, questing, and creature distribution. Some of them, yes. NPCs all get them. We leave alone the special variants, and we're good there. Didn't really change anything there. Immersive Winches. This is like Deadly Winches, except for it has female NPCs that move around the map, and some of them that stay in specific places. I think, though, clicking on Immersive Armors, the problem with that, okay, we need to leave this, because it seems that our little mod menu got a little bit clogged up. So we just go back here, open it up, and bam, things are fixed. So over here, yep, leave it alone, one in-game day, we're fine. We're going to leave. So, more will have, all inns have a barmaid essentially that walks around serving drinks. Makes sense. We're not going to add up to 2. Well, actually we are. And we're going to add more traveling NPCs. Some of them you can barter with, some of them have bodyguards. It adds more life to the world. Now, something we are going to remove is vampire wenches. What does this do? Well, holds will... Oh dear, hold on. Yeah, that was it restarting up because of Immersive Armors. That took a while. No, we're not going to have vampire wenches. It has them in the holds, I believe. And it's just vampires out in the middle of the open, not even trying to hide themselves, essentially. We're not having that. And even the Jarls will have some castle wenches. Summon items, we leave alone. Custom scenes from this mod involving wenches will be disabled. And then wandering, no. We'll leave that alone. Now, Jackson's positioner. This is important for later. We will be looking at the keyboard layout later, but for now we leave that alone. Jackson's renamer. Something, again, we will be leaving alone until later. Yep. Okay, we leave that alone. Lock-on does not work. Don't know why. It's just not working, no matter what I do. So, we're going to deactivate it. We're not having this. Lock-on doesn't work. So, oh well. Legacy of the Dragonborn. The checklist, no point in going in there. Actually, there might be a point, because I think No, there is not. I thought there were some settings for what shows on the checklist. As you can see, there is a lot of stuff. And this will help us with finding quests as well as finding out what's not been displayed. The settings, however, well, these will be important. So, there is an animated airship. We're going to leave that on. Spiders are enabled. We don't have arachnophobia. I don't have arachnophobia. You might. We're leaving that on. I'm sorry. And then turns on Christmas decorations. I don't think we'll be having that on at all because of how I'm going to be recording these, and I'll have some other things that work in our favor for Christmas. So, we might turn them on, we might not. Safe house canopy bed. Ooh, lovely. We leave that on. Mixed mannequins, meaning they're all male and female. Not all male and female. They can be both. I don't know if there's a way to make it female only, because some of these mod things are female only. So we're going to turn off mixed. I think we have a custom mannequin replacer that should work. If we don't, we can install one if it is not working, because we do have custom mannequins. Stash items. Remotely store all crafting materials and store supplies. Essentially gives you easy access to the safe house, which will be our home for this. We're not going to do that. That is not going to happen because, oh well, I'm not going to be able to just throw everything at home from wherever I am in Skyrim. Doesn't make sense. And then outfit swap spell. This one is buggy. I'm sorry, it's a bit buggy because of all the stuff I have. We're not doing that, even though it would be so nice. Well, we'll see if it works. Let's put it that way. I'll try and see if it works. If it doesn't, oh well, it's whatever. Radiant research projects. Not much I can really do about that. We don't have research projects yet. Craft loot. This is why we're having the safe house as well, because having everything in the museum is nice. Being able to use craft loot is amazing. We will loot and return all stored supplies. We'll be doing this later, this particular bit, because we don't have access to it yet, and changing any settings might cause issues. Quest displays. So, okay. We're not going to automatically do any of these because... yeah, this would automatically have the displays show up. We want to earn them by completing certain quests. If they break, essentially if anything breaks that would normally just cause something to show up instead of you manually placing it, you can go here to automatically put it in. And this obviously helps with the whole Thane thing. Yep. So, essentially if something breaks and is not showing up properly, we will just click that and be done. Archaeology. This is nuts. This is nuts. So, you can obviously make artifacts, but part of this too is that you can make, it's not fakes, but, essentially like a dummy version that looks exactly the same for certain artifacts you can't normally get. They have no enchantments, they're not special at all, but they fill up the slot in the museum. Essentially, if you come by something that is unique but you can't even acquire it, you can still put it in a display because you can make your own version of it. It is cool. Doesn't really work for using the material, like the actual stuff you make, but it's still good for making stuff. We don't have any skills. We have nothing to do with archaeology. We're going to leave that alone. So... okay, having a bit of a sniffling fit. Missives. This adds just little tiny optional quests for us to do. What we want to do is basically, we are going to be increasing very hard quest chance up to 15, hard quest chance up to 25, decrease easy down by 10%, and let's get this up to 100 total, so 65, 75, 80. We'll have this be down to 30 as well. hold on, 30, 35, so that's 65, 75, 85, 90, and we'll take this down to 10 instead of 5. Let's get it at 100% total of percentages, even though that's not really how it works. We'll have it like that anyways. So, these are different quests you can get. You either have to gather stuff, or kill stuff, or, like bounty quests, or retrieve a certain item, etc., etc. We're going to leave the rewards alone, because this is just basically offhand gold gaining. More things to do, if you will. More hunt. This, I'm pretty sure, I've not used this ever before. So, we're going to, we're going to leave all this alone, and as we figure out what it does, you and me, we'll find out. We are going to turn off, however, their stamina and magic meter. Health numbers, sure. Enemy level, soul level, sure. Whatever, doesn't matter. We'll leave all this alone. Outside of that, need to figure out more about that as we go. We're down to O. OBIS, Organized Bandits in Skyrim. Settings, enable it. So, number of extra bandits, we're going to decrease that down to, we'll leave that at 3 actually. Randomize, we'll leave that on randomize. They have potions. Activating dungeons, intensity, this along with deadly wenches and Genesis is even more enemies. Oh boy. Diagnostic is off. Monster enablers, spiders, and minotaurs will not be spawned by bandit schemers, and they will not have their own minotaurs. No. Order my items. So, if you don't want to trek across Skyrim to find stuff, you can literally pay a fee to basically buy it and have it delivered by courier. But I am going to increase the order fee. This is an additional fee, like it says there. So the normal price of the items, essentially you pay the fee, you pay the order fee. Then when the courier gets to you, essentially, with your items to deliver them to you, instead of buying them from the merchant you bought them from, what this means is that you can order them from a merchant and have the courier, which is what I'm going to have done, sent to deliver them to me. I don't know stocking time. Minimum 2 hours. I forget if this is real world or in-game, but I'm guessing it's real world. We'll leave that alone then. Message display notifications. Message box. No, not message box. We'll take and we'll leave the rest of this alone. Coordinator perks, so they are replaced properly. Good. We're not going to deal with any of this. We're not going to deal with this. We are going to do this because of the thing. Whatchamacallit? Craft loot. The safe house. It causes issues. So, Thief's Eye. We'll leave the rest of this alone. Other than that, because that allows you to upgrade a certain advanced workshop stuff, and that can cause issues with custom models. We leave all the notifications alone. Spell settings, they take stamina, drain energy from stamina, yep, magicka, yep. We leave the progression and experience options for successful hits on Phenderix magic spells alone. Phenderix magic evolved. Options coming soon. We don't have any options there. Pickpocketing 5 ever. I think this is another one I've never actually used. So maximum chance we will have go up to 99. We'll potential for 1% failure, and then we will increase the minimum to 1%. So, if we get caught pickpocketing, I am going to force myself to eat it. Essentially, I have to pay the fine, get rid of my stolen goods. It will be genuinely, if I get caught pickpocketing and I can't fight my way out of it, I have to accept that. Or if I die, it'll reload the save, but still. Point is, I can't just reload a save. I can't quick save and then load the quick save to cheese the pickpocketing. Whatever I get, I get. Pickpocketing 5 ever, I believe, does respawn items. Compatibility mode for quick loot. Do I have quick? I think I have quick loot. That or I got rid of it. We will check in a bit. It does cause the brawl bugs, potentially. May cause brawl bugs. If that happens, we will reload for that. Minimum wait time. Maximum wait, that's fine. When an NPC has more than this many items in their inventory, they will not gain any new ones. It does. We're going to increase this up to 8, so that they can have different small items on their person. It's a lovely thing, making it so you can pickpocket from your soldier forever. It's a lovely thing. Race menu, high heels. Leave that alone. We don't need that. Run for your lives. Ooh, yes, if a dragon comes, yeah. Well, later on, if people aren't running from dragons, they will run from dragons. Probably vampires as well, because that can cause issues. Sky UI. Oh, there's the snow. Oh, I did not mean to click that. Font size medium. We leave all this alone. Active HUD. Icon size. We want this to be small. Minimum time left. Controls. Nothing we want to change here. And advanced. We have the 3D item. Item card. Active effects. I don't think there's anything we need to change there. We're good. Skyrim Reputation. I think I told you I'd do this later. Tell you about it later. So, Reputation. I am unknown. You have fame levels, devotion to certain... This is separate from Wintersun Faiths, but this is based on your actual actions. So, are you rejecting Daedra on their quests? Are you helping temples, displaying virtues? Or are you having vampirism and lycanthropy, using their gifts, as in vampirism and lycanthropy, doing their bidding? Our lawfulness. Are we a lawful person? Are we doing bandit bounties, restoring rule, enforcing the law? Or are we committing crimes, trespassing, thefts, assaults, and murders? Some of this is also based on if you're seen. There is also suspicion. How likely people think it is that you are a vampire or a werewolf. Reputation, what it is up here, can be anything from feared, hated, disliked, unknown, liked, admired, and a hero. Who knows? So, based on my reputation and fame, I may get better or worse certain prices. We get different perks and all this. Yeah. Are we dependable or are we power hungry? We are definitely going to do some lawful things, but it's more than likely we are going to be a very evil character overall. Quite power hungry, more than likely. Statistics, you can see over here, this is actually better than some of the Skyrim statistics. You have how many undead have you killed? And these things all count different parts. How many beggars have you helped? Meanwhile, percentage of vampirism points, summoner points, different things have different influence, like lycanthropy and vampirism have a higher influence than your conjuration skill points. And then there's the main influence, which is Daedric or Adric choices. For vampirism, they have different influences on the points you get towards your yada yada yada. You should get this. We'll go through this later. This is going to be a frequent screen. So, output options. So, if they think we're a vampire or werewolf, they're going to say it. Let's go back up to the top here. If I have a change, we're going to have a notification. So, different factions' reactions. Companions will let famous players join quickly while booting out evildoers. The way we want to do this is we want to disable these simply because it is going to be a 100% run. Obviously, you can't always 100% something if you can't get access to all the factions. So, we are going to have the Dawn Guard and the Companions, and that will be it. The Thalmor, if we're meddling with the Thalmor, let them be hostile. Forsworn, let them be hostile, but if we save Modernach, they become friendly. We're going to turn that off as well, though, because we don't want Forsworn to be friendly. It can break some things. Vigil of Stendarr, if we worship Daedra, they are going to be angry. No blaming them there. Give everyone the comments. Guards can comment, citizens can comment. Courier notes. Joinable factions may send you notes, including the College of Winterhold. They can send you notes. The Dark Brotherhood can send you courier notes in the Thieves Guild. Behaviors. If they're scared, some people may run away from those who are feared. And hostility. If you have too high of a suspicion, we're going to turn that off because that can mean you can essentially kill very important NPCs. I'd be fine if it was guards and it had normal NPCs run away, but since it's guards and NPCs, they may attack. We can't risk it breaking things. So, reputation perks. The higher my reputation, or lower, more prices change. Better prices. If I'm admired, if I'm a hero, I get better prices from the opposite sex, which is males, which there are a few. There's about half and half on them. Disliked, hated, and feared players can barter stolen goods if they also have a high crime score. Essentially, if you're a known criminal, you can fence goods. Intimidate. If I'm hated or feared, you get 25 increased chance of intimidation. Infamy. Hostile enemies have a 10% chance to flee from a feared player. Fine. Undead aura. Makes skeletons and spiders neutral towards players at vampire stage 2 or above. We turn that off. We turn off beastly aspect. Werewolves and wolves would become neutral to recently transformed werewolf players in human form. We don't want that. Input options. This tells the mod what is going to change your reputation. So, if you do not do things related to vampirism or werewolf in the eyes of people, it reduces the suspicion. Sorry. If people see your crime, you have a higher crime level, but if they don't see it, well, they're not gonna know. Same with necromancy. We're leaving those on. Point contributions capped. We will deal with this later because, as it says, uncap if you find your points maxed out at higher levels. We're going to uncap this now instead of later, which I just said I messed up my words there, because we're going to be playing for a long time. Adric Devotion does not count. We're not going to have it count undead killed. Daedra, sure. Charity and healer, sure. But undead, no. Daedric Taint of the Summoner. Conjuration skill level. We're going to take that off as well. Vampirism. A contribution by Next Bitten, Vampire Lord Transformation. But the big point is Blood Magic Scene, Transformation Scene, and Accusations. I mean, if one person says, you look like a vampire, yeah, other people might believe it too. Lycanthropy, we leave this alone as well. Crime. Miscellaneous Thieves Guild quests and Dark Brotherhood quests count towards crime. Items stolen counts towards it. Pockets picked counts towards it. Trespasses, horses stolen, jail escapes, total murders. Yeah, these all count. Now, companion quests completed, we're going to turn that off because not all the stuff they do is lawful. Let's be real. If you're jailed, you obviously get better law scores, gold paid and fine. Witches and warlocks I'm going to take off because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. In all aspects. Forsworn, sure, they're not supposed to be in Skyrim, yada yada. Bandits, obviously. Dependability. Miscellaneous quests, persuasion, civil war quests, brawls, and warrior skill. We leave all those on. Now, power hungry. Are we intimidating people? Are we bribing them? Necromancy will not be shown as power hungry. We're going to have that only count towards the Daedric Taint. Unless it can't. I guess we'll leave that alone then. Books read. I don't get this. Why would books read count towards power hungry? I'm going to turn that one off. Soul Strapped, sure. Arcane Mastery, sure. Miscellaneous College of Winterhill Quest, sure. Fame, dragons killed, dragon priests killed, locations discovered, we're turning that one off. I'm not going to be a renowned, discoverer of places. Dungeons cleared, yes. People killed, yes. Stores invested in and houses owned, all yes. So, here you can recalibrate stuff. We're not going to do that. Whew, we're getting there, people. Skyrim's unique treasures. Checkmark if you want unique item acquisition notices to be posted when you pick up something unique. Yes. Immersive ownership. We're going to have that. If I steal something, I steal something. And then lower friendly items only. No, because those have their part in the... This does, I believe, work with Legacy of the Dragonborn, so we're leaving this alone. Skyrim's unique treasures. Yep. So Smartcast. This is really, really interesting. This allows us to have rings that can cast combo spells. You can literally combine spells. It is really cool. Now, Smartcast for spells instead of combos and all that. This allows you to have spells enabled at a certain point. So, have you entered combat? Oh, you'll automatically trigger this spell. It is, once we get a lot of spells, it is important that we can do this. We will have autocast rules, but this is something we will get into later. We can't do anything with it now. We don't have the spells for it. Take notes. This is going to be cool. As we do things in-game, we're going to note them down in our character's perspective here in Take Notes. So, we're going to have our character, literally, Rosemary, speaking through her journal. It will be lovely. We have the font sizes, the font size of the date, in-game date, by the way. Leave the controls alone. The journal menu is X. Timing is everything. You don't have to start at quests when you want. You can start them when you want them. Essentially, you can only get the Dawn Guard recruitment level 10. We're going to leave that alone. By Disguise the Vampire, 25%, yada yada. We're going to leave these things alone for now, at least in Dawn Guard. Minimum level for Hearthfire, we're going to have that up to 15. Dragonborn after Way of the Voice, that's fine. Minimum level 25, obviously that's fine. Other quests, all these for the time being are going to be left alone. Hold on. We're going to leave Break of Dawn like it is, although I am going to increase the level required for this up to 45 because I hate it. We want to do Break of Dawn later. I hate having that thing in my inventory, especially early on. So, we're going to leave that alone for a long time. Extra options. We leave these alone. So after... Okay. We are going to have the quest requirement for the Thalmor squads. After diplomatic immunity, they can come in and try and kill me as much as they want. The minimum number of assaults required before a Dark Brotherhood assassin will be sent after your character. None, and minimum level 5. Fine. Letter from a friend. If this option is selected and letters from a friend informing you of the word wall will only come from friends. They'll still be anonymous, but you'll have the satisfaction of knowing the person who witnessed your shout truly does consider you a friend. We're having that on. Because that is feel good. Ultimate Combat. This adds more, makes it far more, we'll get into it. I don't know how to explain it. Enemies have poise. They can stagger me. Yeah. Headshot damage multiplier. Essentially, if we headshot someone with a bow, it's going to deal 2.5 times damage. We get a notice when it happens, with a sound and effect. Lovely. Mod is activated. There's a swing effect. Yep, okay, that's fine. And stealth is more difficult. We're going to leave that alone for now. And then hardcore damage makes it so that I deal increased damage instead of the NPCs. Combat is more difficult and far faster. We are going to turn that... We're going to leave that alone. NPCs have... Okay, turn down dodge. You'll see why. Dodge has so many issues. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. Because if you try and hit them with anything, they'll just dodge the side and nothing happens. It doesn't even look right. And doesn't take stamina, it's weird. We'll give it middle a chance for frequency. Draugrs can have AI, they don't have the disarm shot, thank fuck. Oh, yes. And all of them have the increased AI with increased HP scale. That'll be difficult. Unread books glow. Lovely thing. We're going to turn that to brighter. I did not mean to press escape there. Bright. Violins. Violence to play on violence. Whew. Okay. We've almost been on this menu for an hour. But, So, kill moves are on. We're going to leave that alone. Kill move chance, we're going to decrease that down to 50. Dragon kill move chance, sure, have it at 100. So there should be one that disables my player kill move immunity. There we go. Because that can just literally steal your health from you. And we also wouldn't turn to ash as easily so. A last enemy restriction. Kill moves can only be used in the last enemy. Yes. Camera view. Third person. Boom. Decapitations by perks with a increased chance up to 50% on a kill move. Kill moves on magic we are going to have off-ranged. No ranged kill moves. Those cause some issues. Stealth. Seated. Boom. Unarmed, neck break, daggers, swords, throat slit, maces, and axes break the neck. If you're, Boom, customized kill moves, we'll leave that alone. We have the profile system left alone as well. Whew. Wet and cold. Wet, enabled. Mode, default. Ash and cold will all be left alone. These things are fine. Yeah, we leave all this alone. Wintersun Faiths. This is going to be a big one that we don't really have much left to change. So, race requirements. Some deities can't be worshipped unless you're of that race. Yeah, that is... I'm gonna change that, because just because a race is a patron deity doesn't mean that should be the only one, because we're a Breton. Favor gained from meditating. We are going to, because of how much time this would take otherwise, we are going to decrease favor loss over time to 0.6 and gain up from meditating up to 1.8. And then, if you don't meditate, they will abandon you. A deity will just give up on you. So we need to actually find a deity before that works anymore. World's Dawn. Bam. We're turning it on. This is my favorite mod in the game. This makes it, so this is the big one. This is the one why we need to cheat in that specific perk later. This adds unique randomized enchantments to gear that can buff each other, can stack. It is maddening. So, essentially, you can merge enchantments and put them on gear you want. After that point, You may have the gear you want, but you'd have to abandon it because you can't upgrade it. Well, not with the perk, which I need to cheat in the vanilla version, because Ordinary does not have it. So, magic and tempered items will be normal. These are increased, I believe, by a certain thing. Luck, I believe it. But essentially, enemies and containers and all of these things, anywhere an item can spawn, this will scan it. It's supposed to do shops as well, but I don't think it does very well. Anywhere an item can spawn, it will scan that place, find if there is an item in there, and it has a chance to give it an enchantment or temper it. It will not rename them because I have that off, and like, fuck. So, we're going to increase augmentations per day. You'll see why that's important later when we eventually get the gear we want. In seconds, every 2 seconds it'll scan with a 3,000 radius. NPCs and containers can be spawned. Potions will drop. Oh, attributes. So, you have strength, endurance, agility, dexterity, intellect, wisdom, personality. It's personality, not luck. Each one of these increases a certain stat. Strength, for example, increases the health. You regain health per second. This actually counteracts being a vampire, but not enough to where it would really matter. It's so little that, you regen 60 health a minute. Sounds like a lot until you realize most weapons will take that off in one swing. But you can upgrade this stat and increase the health you get per second. Damage you deal with all melee or ranged weapons with strength. Or endurance. Increase your stamina recovery, your carrying capacity, your damage threshold. Agility, your movement speed, your armor penetration, your critical hit chance. You can do critical hits. Damage to targets below 50% health with dexterity. Intellect, you can increase your magic skill progression rate. Wisdom, all skill EXP gained. And, of course, personality, increase that dang loot. Lovely stuff. Now, you can get these either by leveling up or by getting certain potions, which are highly expensive, very rare, but will increase your attribute point you gain. We need to get each and every one of these, all 7, up to 100. And we're going to turn off the confirmation when you need to upgrade a level because we'd be there for a long extra time. So, we are going to, first of all, increase our wisdom, because that is important, all skills EXP, and pretty early on, you want the loot. Also, NPCs can use, because it scans NPCs, they will use the magic items that spawn on them. There are certain NPCs that when you hit them, they will spawn 2 fire atronachs. It is madness. They have special weapons that will deal massive electricity damage. It is so cool. This mod is my favorite. And once you get gear you like, you can move the enchantment onto other gear you like and upgrade it infinitely with a decreasing chance of success per use of materials you use to upgrade it. Man, this is so cool, and it gives you an overview of everything, even stuff given by mods. All this is stuff added by mods and by the mod itself. So if I have decreased health regeneration from better vampires, it shows up here. This is my favorite mod, World's Dawn. And then XPMSE, the skeletal mod. Not really much we need to change there. Immersive Armors configuration has finished. Oh boy, let's wait here just for one extra little second. Let all those amazing changes finally make their way into the game before I tell you that we, despite having an alternate start mod, are going to talk to this lady.
Approach, my child, and choose where your new life shall begin.
So, what we can do is we can start as any of these things. We can arrive on the board of a ship. I might have a house in one of the holes. I can be a member of a guild, a patron at a local inn, a soldier in the army. I could be the vanilla start, caught crossing the border illegally. I can literally just leave this cell with what I have on me. I can be an outlaw in the wilds. I can be a vigilant of Stendarr. I can be camping in the woods, shipwrecked off the coast. A vampire in a secluded lair. A necromancer in a secret location. A warlock's thrall, attacked and left for dead. The guildmaster for the Explorer Society. A Forsworn native, or just be surprised. Pretty sure Forsworn native is because I am a Breton. But the idea is we want a lore-friendly reason why our character is doing what they are doing. If we do not take the vanilla start, essentially we get told, hey, there's a dragon out by Helgen. It's supposedly, yada yada, rumors getting around. And then you go up there. We are going to take the vanilla start. Because I want to have it be that my Breton was coming to Skyrim, and we'll get into that later, why she's here, what she wants. But all you need to know is that we will be taking the vanilla start.
Such is the strange and twisted hand of fate.
So, the moment we go into this bed right here, it's game on. We will have started this wonderful, wonderful playthrough that, unfortunately for you, if you're watching this, will start Thursday, the day that Skyrim Special Edition gets its anniversary patch. I'll need to cancel that because it'll break my mods, but also the day that Anniversary Edition comes out. So, this is episode 0 of my Skyrim modded 100% run, and I do hope that on Thursday and going forward every single Tuesday, we will have an episode that will come out well edited, well made, and hopefully you will enjoy that. My name is MangoMaraudr. I do hope you'll stick around to find out what happens in our little playthrough. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.